Greetings, everybody. So first off, yes, I realize I am not sitting in the car that I'm about to talk about. I had just test driven one yesterday, and the car I'm talking about is the all-new 2024 BMW 530i. So I had really high hopes when I went to go test drive that car, and the short version is I was very, very disappointed with that car. Let me talk about a few of the things that kind of stood out to me. So first off, when I first started out, backing out of the parking spot at the dealer, I noticed the steering was extremely light and had absolutely zero feel to it. Very un-BMW like, almost more like you would expect, I don't know, like a modern day hybrid to be, or something like that. It was just over boosted and completely devoid of feel. Extremely disappointing on the steering. Now, while we were underway, it even didn't really tighten up all that much. And it still just was very numb. I mean, for contrast, the car I'm in now has electric power steering as well. It has great feedback, and my BMW 5 Series G60 also has wonderful steering. So they completely screwed up the steering in that car. Now, that being said, the salesman suggested that I switch over to sport mode, and it did tighten it up a bit. It was a little bit better, but still not what you would expect from a BMW at all. And then another thing, the seats. When I first sat in the seat, like before I started driving, I thought it was wonderful. It's nice and cushy. It feels nice. I think they call it Veganza. BMWs have been hit or miss in my experience on seat comfort. And but once I started driving for a while, I noticed there were some pressure points that kind of developed. So I'm going to say that, the seats really aren't that great, even though initially they seem to be great. Now, you have a few adjustments, maybe fiddling around with the adjustments may make a difference on that. But other than that, yeah, the seats were kind of not that great. Now, I didn't find any issues with the lack of physical buttons in that car. The climate controls and so forth seem to work pretty well. They also have a digital slide lever where you can open and close the vents. That seemed to be pretty cool. Didn't really have any issues with the interface, the user interface, and stuff like that. Didn't get totally deep into it, but nonetheless, yeah, it was okay. So then another miss, pretty much on every modern car these days, you're going to have adaptive cruise control. And I believe that doesn't have that standard. It comes as an option. And so, yeah, I would think that a car the one I drove was $66,000 for a 530i. You would think it would have that, but the salesperson informed me it didn't. So I mean, it just seemed like that was kind of a miss. The overall design of the interior was pretty nice. I think they did a decent job. If maybe a little on the generic side, because pretty much everybody's going to the screen that goes across, yeah, I mean, I think the one on my Hyundai Elantra N was as good, if not better, than the one in the BMW 2024 5 Series. So the overall drive was nice. It is quieter than the G60. They definitely leaned more toward luxury and lack of driver involvement for this 5 Series. So if you're going there looking at a new 5 Series expecting it to feel as engaging as you would normally expect for a BMW, I think you're going to be disappointed. It just really, I think they just really had a big miss on this car. So anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, exterior styling I think is great. I think they nailed the exterior styling on that car. The wheels that came on the particular one that I looked at, which I think are the wheels that are coming on all the launch editions, that I think every dealer got one equipped the same way. It was like 66 and change for the MSRP. So that all looked pretty nice. Oh yeah, another big miss, as far as I'm concerned, is what they did with the door handles. Holy cow, that sun is bright. So on every other BMW I've had, the door handle sticks out in such a way that you can open the door by putting your hand that way or that way. They have switched it so that you can only get to the handle from underneath. It is kind of like, you know, the old American cars from the 70s where you kind of had to lift up on the lever to open the door. I don't like that. Now, I was told by the salesperson they did that for aerodynamics, but I think what they should do is like what they did on my BMW and, I'm sorry, my Range Rover, and what the new Mercedes S-Class has and so forth, and that is to make it a pop-out door handle. That way you still maintain the aerodynamics, but also give the users the way to open the door that they're familiar with. So I think that was kind of another big miss. You know, overall, I have more negative things to say than positive things. And again, I had really high hopes. On paper, this car looked like it would be just fantastic, but it really isn't. So, you know, based on that feedback, I would like to hear your feedback in the comments. If you own one, or if you go test drive one, see if you agree with me on some of these points. You know, other people may feel very differently about this car than I do. I keep saying this car, not the car I'm in. This car, as in the car I'm talking about. But anyway, on that note, I think that's all I have to say about it right now. Yeah, share your thoughts in the comments. Oh, I did want to say one more thing. Go ahead and pull out this way. Did want to say one more thing about the drive, switching between sport mode, or comfort mode and sport mode, into sport mode. This is a positive. So when you're in comfort mode, the engine sound is very subdued, again leaning toward the luxury car side of things. When you put it in sport mode, it wakes up a bit. You can definitely hear a little bit of engine sound in the car. It sounds nice. I don't know if that is an artificial sound coming through the speakers or not. Even if it is, it still sounds pretty nice. But it's nothing like an M340i, for example, with the pops and crackles and stuff like that. It was still extremely tame in comparison to that. But yeah, I mean, that gave it a little bit more character, putting it in that mode. But still, yeah, nothing like what you would really hope from a BMW. I've owned 2 generations of 5 Series, and I had a 2008 550i M Sport with a 6-speed, which I think I have some videos about. And I also currently have my 540D 2018, and those two, I'd say the 550i was probably the best driving car, but my 540D is also a great driving car. The 550i was very visceral. It had just a very connected feel and very solid. It's hard to explain, you just have to drive one. And then they did maintain the great feel with the G60. Now, I've never owned one of the whatever was before the G60, so the 2011 to 2016, 2017. I have test driven those. Those were actually a bit on the numb side to drive. So, if anything, the current one kind of goes back a little bit to what the 2011 5 Series was like. A little more numb, a little more isolated. And then they got better with the G60. Okay, I know I said that's all I had to say like 3 times now, but I think that's it. Have a great day. Let me know your comments.